Luke, I am your father.
Okay, so I'm 13. Sorry about that. Anyway, hey, we're back here at the Crow's Nest Railroad. We've got some welding on the Chloe to do today, and hope you can join us. We'll be making sparks and having a lot of fun. Hi, this is Stan. Welcome back to the Crow's Nest Railroad. We're on the road over at Bob's shop today, and we've got some welding to do on the Chloe boiler, some rings that have to be spot welded on so that the cladding can be attached later. So that's going to be kind of fun. We're going to fire up the welder and get that job done. And as a matter of fact, Bob even was courageous enough to let me try to do a little bit of welding myself. I've never welded before, and so that's a lot of fun too. So let's get busy. What's the plan? What are we going to do?
So what we've got here is a set of rings that are going to space the boiler wrapper out. This will ultimately be a wrapper, but it's not the wrapper we're going to use. We'll make a new one to suit the needs here, because we've changed the diameter of these rings from the original design. So I've got a half ring here. It started out as a whole ring, but we cut it in half, and we're going to weld it on each side of this. And we cut it in half because I can't get it on over the remaining smoke box pieces, the elements here, the steam dome. So by separating them in halves and just tack welding each half to the boiler, I provide a spacer. And that spacer then allows the wrapper to roll around this with room for insulation inside. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and insulate the Chloe in this instance, so we'll be adding that as well to the program.
So we're going to see some sparks flying today.
We are going to spot weld these little guys right here, and each one of these locations where you see the silver line gets a ring, and at the top we're going to manage this guy right in the middle in hopes that he will hold the last piece of the wrapper in place for us. So we're going to go ahead and add a ring here, a ring here, a ring here where that silver is, a ring here, and right at the top we're going to add these guys and these guys here to give us the final contour of the back of that wrapper.
Some of us are not welders, so can you just give us a quick overview of what the system is that we got going today?
Sure can, Stan. This is an ancient, and I mean ancient, AC, what we call a buzz box. It has a 220 input. There's a transformer in there that gives me various amperages. So the voltage is low for safety, but the amperage is high. So we have an adjustable slide here that allows me to go from A heat or B heat, and that allows me a large selection of amperages to cook this rod with. We end up with a welding clamp here. The rod goes in the clamp, and you hold this part in your hand. This is the grounding clamp. This gets clamped directly to the steel part that you're welding, and you want it without any paint or dirt or crud on it, because you want a good connection electrically between this piece and the electrode that's going to be into this element here.
So it has to be ferrous metals, in other words, that you clamp onto, right?
That's correct. We're looking for steels, for example. There are means of welding other non-ferrous materials, but in this instance, this buzz box intended intentionally for just mild steels.
And we're just going to spot this. In other words, we're not going to put a long bead of weld
That's
on
correct.
that.
I'm just going to tap in here and see if I can get in there enough to hold that, because if I ever have to remove these rings, or the new owner has to, then we're going to have an issue if I were to weld it all the way around.
All right.
What I'm doing now is I'm tapping to break the slag off the weld. When that electrode coating melts, it forms a covering to the actual weld metal itself. So normally you do this with a hammer with a point on the end of it and just hammer at it. But I don't want to dislodge this if I haven't got a good bond yet. I don't want to move these rings. So I'm just trying to get in here and see what we've got.
All right, try not to set my coffee cup on fire.
All right, here we go. Better. Here we go.
Now on the rods, why were we using real small rods like that?
All right, I'm not a great welder. That's pretty evident here from the quality of the welds you see. And so a big electrode creates a tremendous amount of amperage and melting. And I wanted to work in here without damaging the ring to any great extent. And as the electrode increases in diameter, so does the amperage. So if you're not really good at welding with a stick, and can see and I can't see, then you can do a lot of damage both to the boiler shell and to the ring with a big 100 amp electrode, and I'm using something around 75 to 80 amps for this particular diameter I'm using. And that keeps me from making any serious mistakes. It just means I have to keep going over and over again making an ugly weld, but mechanically it's strong. It just doesn't look pretty. But I don't damage the shell or the ring that I'm trying to preserve.
So Bob has been willing to, I don't know why, but risk both of our lives and let me touch the welder, and I've never welded before. We've got a little bit bigger diameter sticks, a little higher amperage, so I can kill us both.
So we moved to 145 amps for this electrode. This is a 6013 flux-coated stick electrode. We're going to let Stan try and weld the electrode to the work surface here. This is just a scrap piece of tube I've got. What we want him to do is be able to strike the arc and move smoothly along, or not so smoothly along, depending on how well he can see the puddle. So we're going to initially start him, and this is going to be a challenging experience, so just bear with him. It's the first time. He's going to stick a lot until he gets the mastery of it. All right.
So how do you establish the arc?
Okay, with the arc established, you come down with the electrode, and it's kind of a sweeping motion in your right hand up. So I come in and I just tap that. I tap,
Okay.
tap and stroke it. And you're right, you tap, and you lift a little bit because you don't want it to stick, but you don't want to lift so much that the arc is broken. So you come in, touch that surface, bring it up just a 32nd of an inch, and start working that puddle. So you want a circular motion. You ideally want to weld with little swirls. Now initially, your first time, just try and keep the arc going.
Okay.
If you can do that, you're wonderful. And as you get control and feel for the arc and the distance away and the striking trick here with getting it reestablished, then you begin to worry about puddles and other issues like that. So we're going to let you just start with this and see what happens.
And if the rod sticks, then what do I do?
Pull the rod off. You should be able to do that without any problem. And if not, then I'll throw the switch off. You're doing good. Now, you're burning through the steel.
Wow.
That's fine. Well, I'm telling you,
Is that because I'm not moving?
you're not moving fast enough.
Okay.
But all you want to do here is to set the arc, establish the arc, try and control that arc.
Okay. Okay, well I didn't burn a hole yet.
It's just a flesh wound.
So here I just didn't move it and it burnt a hole right through it.
That's correct, right on
And
through.
here I kind of drug it along.
Yeah. But now, ultimately, once you've controlled that arc and can feel comfortable that you can hold and maintain it, then you want to begin to look at laying a weld bead in and puddling it.
Gotcha. That was awesome, Bob. Thank you. That was pretty cool. Let's take a look.
Look at you, buddy. You're going to be a welder when you grow up. Smooth as a baby's butt.
Sweet. That's awesome, dude. That is so much fun.
Oh my God.
Well, Bob, what an awesome time we had at your shop today. We got to see these done. What have you got to do here? Hit them with a little grinder.
Yeah, you missed that part, Stan. I ground down the extra weld splatter and misalignment issues, so we've got a smooth contour now around the wrap of the boiler. We're going to put an insulation on this, and then we're going to wrap that with a template, and from that template we will lay it on some sheet steel, and then we will cut from the template, and then we will wrap that wrapper around the boiler, and then we'll go by make boiler straps with little clamps at the bottom of them that wrap around the sheet metal wrapper and hold the sheet metal to the rings and the insulation and the whole 9 yards. And that ring comes down to the bottom of the boiler, and there's just a screw that's attached, and you just thread the screw in and it pulls that clamp, that ring clamp around there so that it holds the wrappers in place.
Well, Bob, this is an exciting little mini-series here on the Crow's Nest Railroad. I want to thank you so much for joining us, and we will keep you updated as to all the progress as Bob gets this Chloe ready to fire up. We'll see you right here next time on the Crow's Nest Railroad.
Oop. 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 Oop.